What happens when a neighborhood is built on lies? In Briar Glenn, Texas, HOA President Janice Mand had a vision. She wanted a 120-home development, sleek townhouses with granite countertops, polished wood floors, and energy-efficient windows on what she called community-owned land. Families were excited, ready to move into their dream homes, but none of them knew the truth. The land wasn't community-owned. It belonged to Calvin Redden's family, legally and properly, since 1953. Calvin's grandfather, Theodore Redden, had purchased the property soon after returning from the Korean War. In a time when black landowners were often intimidated or cheated out of their property, Theodore held on to every deed, every tax receipt, and every map. That principle of proof passed down through the generations. Calvin had inherited it, every document preserved in a fireproof safe. While Janice celebrated her power, striding across the construction site in tailored blazers, waving at investors and posing for photographs, Calvin observed quietly. Bulldozers tore through mesquite trees, foundations rose, streets were paved, and families toured model homes imagining barbecues, birthday parties, and holiday lights in their new backyards. None of them realized they were building on land that legally belonged to someone else. Calvin didn't panic. He didn't protest with signs or storm HOA meetings. He waited. He documented everything: photos of construction crews, videos of the property, copies of every permit, logs of every conversation between contractors and HOA representatives. Every nail hammered into the homes, every beam lifted, strengthened his case. Patience was his weapon, evidence his shield. One afternoon, his cousin Jerome pulled up beside Calvin's truck, shaking his head. "Man, why aren't you stopping?" "Them? You've got the papers. You could shut this down tomorrow." Calvin sipped water slowly, looking out over the chaos. "If I swat a mosquito, I kill one bug. But if I let him breed, then when I act, I wipe out the whole nest. I'm waiting for the nest." Meanwhile, Janice basked in her spotlight. Local papers featured her with hard hats and blueprints, captions praising her visionary leadership and forward-thinking HOA management. She even assured buyers that the land was vetted and secured. Families, trusting her authority, signed contracts and put down deposits. Calvin's wife, Denise, worried. "What if they sell all the houses before you can stop them?" "They will," Calvin said quietly. "And every buyer will be part of my case. They think they're buying security, but it's built on lies. When the time comes, the law will speak for us." Weeks passed and the development soared. Streets were lined with nearly identical homes. Families moved in, planting flowers, unpacking furniture, hanging curtains. From the outside, it looked like a thriving neighborhood. Underneath, it was a ticking time bomb. Finally, the moment arrived. With his lawyer, Monica Trallian, Calvin presented a meticulously documented case. Mistake after mistake by the HOA was exposed. Failure to verify ownership, starting construction without clear title, and selling homes illegally. The court ruled decisively. The HOA's claims were voided, contracts nullified, and families were compensated. Janice Mand's reputation crumbled. Headlines that once celebrated her leadership now questioned her judgment and ethics. Investors faced lawsuits. Families, though shaken, learned the truth. Calvin had waited, prepared, and prevailed, not out of revenge, but to uphold justice and honor his family's legacy. From his porch, Calvin watched Briar Glenn slowly heal. Streets were repaved legally, homes resold properly, and the neighborhood learned a hard lesson: power without integrity cannot stand. And in the quiet, Calvin knew that patience, preparation, and respect for the law had won, teaching the community a lesson they wouldn't soon forget.